Now we're going to talk about a little bit about the end-to-end supply chain planning process, starting with the quote from the customer and ending with product being delivered to the customer. Okay, so we talked a little bit about earlier the different roles and functions, not just within the supply planning space, but also adjacent groups like product management, forecasting or demand planning, the supplier, etc. So you're going to see how each of those functions play a role in the process. You start with the customer request for quote. So the customer will reach out to their salesperson, sales representative, and ask them for pricing for typically a specific product. It could be a product line or a number of different products, but they're going to reach out to their sales partner. The sales group is going to contact product management because remember, product management typically in most organizations manage and identify the pricing, and they set the pricing for the customer. So sales will reach out to product management. Product management will review to see if there are any competitives, right? So does the customer have a quote from another competitor? And have they provided that information? So they review all of these different aspects of pricing, and they provide the pricing back to sales, and sales provides the pricing to the customer. From there, if the customer is satisfied with the pricing, they will create a purchase order and send it to your organization's customer service team. Customer service will then create what we call a sales order, and that sales order contains a requested delivery date. It contains the product that the customer is wanting. It also contains a product code, either typically your organization's product code, but it may also have your customer's organization's product code, as well as a purchase order number. Now that purchase order number is very specific to the sales order that has been created. Usually you're going to have one purchase order number for one sales order number. Okay. So from there, once the PO is created by the customer and sent to customer service, again, customer service converts the order to a sales order and provides that in the system. And from there, supply planning is able to, one, see this as what we call a firm order. And we talked about that a little bit in our terminology. So again, that firm order for supply planning to see is an order with a requested delivery date. It contains product codes and quantity. So this is what triggers supply planning to create a plan to either manufacture or produce the product in-house, or if it's a distribution network only, they will create a purchase order to the supplier to fulfill this product request. So they're doing one of two things. They're creating a production order that will eventually convert into physical inventory, or they're creating a purchase order to the supplier and we await material. Okay. So now we're at the point where we're sending the PO to the supplier, or we're sending the production order to the warehouse. Okay. So then from there, we either produce product, manufacture product, and then we receive material in, or we wait for product to be received from the supplier and we received material in. When product is received in, there are a few things that occur. If it's received in from a supplier, okay, you will receive a packing slip from the supplier, and then that will precipitate a POD for your organization. Okay, so a POD is a proof of delivery. And essentially, it's a bill of lading that has a signature attached to it that says, I've received this material from this supplier on XYZ date. I specifically received whatever's on whatever's on the truck, okay? And I signed off on it. So your organization is going to sign off on a packing slip, okay? Or a bill of lading, okay? If your organization is producing product, you won't have that bill of lading, but you should have a batch receipt from the warehouse that says, in the system, we produced this material in this quantity and we are receiving it in, okay? From there, product is shipped, product is picked from the warehouse floor and shipped to the customer, okay? So in this step, one of two things or one of a few things is going to happen. Transportation is either going to schedule product pickup by either a third party. So if you think about trucking companies like Estes and Schneider Dedicated, Swift, they're either going to schedule with one of those carriers, one of many carriers. They could also have what we call internal fleet. So internal fleet is where an organization maintains a fleet of trucks and they move product either internally or to the customer through their own private fleet, okay? Or the last option would be for the customer to pick the product up themselves. So the customer would reach out and schedule a pickup with your organization. And then finally, however the business has chosen to move the product, finally the product is received at the customer's site, okay? And similar to when material is delivered to your organization, there will be a proof of delivery generated, right? So the transportation individual or whichever option you're choosing, the third party carrier or the internal fleet driver, will provide the customer with a packing slip. And that packing slip contains everything that should be on the truck. The customer signs off on that packing slip, and that becomes your proof of delivery. And that is the end of the supply chain process.